7 o'clock, and it's now time for the Morning Watch. The Morning Watch is brought to you today by AIM Financial Corporation Limited. AIM has a loan for any purpose. Visit any of our branches in Mandeville, Kingston, Spanish Town, Portmore, Maypen, Ocho and Montego Bay.
Tired of the high interest rates and the whole heap of loan payments every month? Take a debt consolidation loan from AIM to pay credit card bills and all other high interest rate loans from other institutions. Make one low monthly payment to AIM and take home some extra money in your pocket. That's financial freedom. One loan, one low payment, more money in your pocket. Call AIM today to lower your loan payment. And remember, you won't find a better deal elsewhere. Guaranteed.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, the National Campaign on Human Trafficking in Jamaica. In the second watch, euthanizing minors. Should children have the right? Our social media question we ask, should children be able to decide their own fate? Why or why not? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
I quote this morning is an island quote from Trinidad. Don't put fowl to watch corn. Explanation, don't put a thief to take care of your possessions.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint. How are you today?
I am doing well, and I trust you are as well.
Yes, I am. I'm grateful.
Hey, I need to ask you, DJ, in light of the island quote, what's the difference between a fowl and a chicken? I will wait on your response later. Right?
All right.
The first watch will be back after this break.
I'm Tammy.
I'm Wayne.
And we are the Mitchells. Our life is a busy vibe. So Flow Yardan Road is made for our vibe.
Power your everywhere vibe with Yardan Road and get up to 150 megabits per second fiber fast internet at home and fully loaded mobile with unlimited social and YouTube data. Anywhere talking text plus gigs and gigs of any use data. All for a special offer of $4,999 plus GCT. Yardan Road is for the way you live. Flow, Jamaica's network. Visit discoverflow.co. Conditions apply.
Come here, Lizzie. We have to leave now, but I'm so glad I can carry my Love 101 FM with me anywhere me go.
How you do that?
What do you mean? I have the Love 101 FM app on my phone, so no matter wherever support me go, I just click on the app and props. My Love 101 is right here with me on my iPhone.
But after me not have iPhone, so how me I go here?
Simply go to your Play Store on your Android phone. Search for Love 101 FM. The red app with the Love 101 logo will show up and you just download it. Even my friend in New York did a listen love the other day. Clear in New York, my dear. And you know how him did a listen?
Let me guess.
On the Love 101 FM app.
All right then, all right.
Me I go download it so I can have love with me to anywhere me go. Have you downloaded the Love 101 FM app? Take Love 101 FM with you anywhere and listen anytime via the Love 101 app. Available in your Play Store for Android phones and on your iPhone in the App Store. Love 101 FM. We are here, there, and everywhere. The family station.
Love 101. The family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, according to the United States 2021 Trafficking in Persons report, Jamaica is ranked as Tier 2, which means that the government of Jamaica does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, but is making significant efforts to do so. In response, the International Organization for Migration, IOM, is implementing a national campaign against trafficking in Jamaica. And this morning, to discuss these and other related issues, we have online Mr. Aniceto Rodriguez Ruiz, Head of Cooperation at the European Union, the Jamaica office, and Ms. Keisha Livermore, Chief of Mission International Organization for Migration, IOM. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint. Good morning to all our listeners.
Great.
Good morning, Dr. Toussaint. Good morning, listeners. And thank you so much for having us this morning.
Great. Good to have you both with us. Let me ask you to hit the ground running, Miss Livermore. What really is human trafficking, and how did Jamaica come by this Tier 2 ranking?
Okay, so human trafficking, according to the United Nations Protocol, must be understood in terms of three core elements. The first one is the activity, that is what happened. The second one is how it happened. And the third one is why it happened. So this is an easy and simple way of breaking down the definition that has been put forward by the UN. And the definition, I'm going to be speaking off the top of my head, so I may get it a little bit wrong by missing out a few things. It is defined as the recruitment, transportation, harboring, or receipt of persons, that's the activity, by means of fraud or use of force or abuse of power or position of vulnerability, that is the how, for the purpose of exploitation, which is the why. It goes on further to say that exploitation at a minimum shall mean prostitution or other forms of sexual exploitation, labor, or practices similar to slavery. I'm missing a few other types of everything, but these are and organ removal. But as I mentioned earlier, this definition in terms of the purpose is at a minimum, as we have found that persons have found myriad of ways to abuse and exploit other human beings. Now, the second part of your question asked about how Jamaica got to the Tier 2 ranking.
Yes.
And I would like to just say that a lot of work has been done locally by the government of Jamaica, as well as by other stakeholders who have been supporting the government in its fight against human trafficking. However, the U.S. government, which is the one who puts out this ranking, holds all countries at a very high standard in terms of saying what countries should do to get to the tier 1 ranking, which is the highest ranking, which is where they say that you're doing everything that you possibly can. So I just want to say that this is not to say that the government of Jamaica is not working. The government of Jamaica has implemented several activities, and there is a national task force that has been set up that is responsible for ensuring that the government action plan to combat trafficking in persons is being implemented and monitored.
Yeah. How many tiers are there, by the way, before I go to Mr. Ruiz? How many tiers are there?
I think there are 4 tiers. Tier 3, tier 2 watch list, tier 2, and tier 1.
Okay. All right. Mr. Ruiz, before, tell us a little bit about your organization, sir, and the concerns your organization has in regards to human trafficking in Jamaica.
Well, human trafficking have always been a real concern for the European Union. The European Union has always been at the forefront to denounce and to support the fight against human trafficking. In this concrete case, we are partnering with IOM is a multi-country program that concerns Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Jamaica against illicit traffics. And one of the components of these illicit traffics, of course, is human trafficking. This is the component that it's implemented by IOM. I mean, the main purpose is to increase the capacities of key national actors to prevent and to fight against the trafficking of persons.
And you mentioned the partnership. What is the nature of that partnership, sir?
Well, the nature of the partnership is we work with IOM worldwide. We have a lot of actions with IOM in many countries. Usually, the partnership is that the European Union provides a significant part of the funds of the program. Agreeing with IOM, who is the implementing partner, who is the entity who will implement the concrete actions in an agreed way in what are the priorities and what are the objectives of the action. This is, roughly speaking, the nature of this kind of partnerships that we have here in Jamaica, but also worldwide with them.
So it's largely financial.
Yes, it is. It's financial, but of
Jamaica, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's financial, but it's also in order to respond to our worries and to our objectives and to our policies as well. Huh? Of course.
Yes. And where does Jamaica fit in this when compared to the other nations in this region?
Well, I have to say that as Mrs. Livermore said, there have been significant progress, but there is still some room for doing even better. In the region, I have to say that Jamaica is, I mean, it's in the average. There are other cases, there are other countries in the region where it's even more worrying. We have to think also that the situation now is a bit conditioned also by these 2 years and a half of this terrible pandemic that we passed, because this has changed a lot of things in the framework, because it increased financial hardship on families. Schools were closed. there was an increasing lack of social and economic opportunities during this pandemic, and then there was also an increased use of the digital technologies that is double fold, it's twofold. I mean, because in some cases this
I'm sorry,
increased
Mr.
use of
Ruiz. I'm so sorry, Mr.
yes,
Ruiz. Could you just hold that point, please? We're up on a break. We'll be right back.
yeah.
Get better coverage for yourself and your family as low as $800 a month. The tie-by Jane Life Vest from Jane Life Insurance is
$715.50.
Tired of them answer, man. Every single place in the house to find them.
Tired of them? You need to call Rhyme Pest Control and get a free inspection and a free consultation done. Call them at 876-803-1377 or visit them website www.rhymopestcontrol.com, and you can also find them on Instagram. Them deal with pests like termites, rodents, mosquitoes, ants, cockroaches, flies, and that. How is she gone?
Yes, hello, I'm calling about
Rhyme Pest Control. Best for pests. Call them right now.
You know what's sweet? The new pack Sweet Living promotion. Win great prizes.
Bedroom set, living room set, kitchen appliance set, plus TVs and monthly cash prizes.
Send in 5 new pack labels. Labels must belong to at least the new pack corned beef, new pack Vienna sausages, and sauces categories.
Below the tagline, new pack, more than just value.
Place your entry in one of the drop boxes at participating outlets or enter by mail. Time to live sweet. Enter the new pack Sweet Living promotion. August 28th to November 19th. See the press for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this, the first watch, we have been discussing the national campaign on human trafficking in Jamaica. And in so doing, we have online Miss Keisha Livermore, Chief of Mission International Organization for Migration, IOM, and Mr. Aniceto Rodriguez Ruiz, Head of Cooperation at the European Union, the Jamaica office. Mr. Ruiz, before the break, you were telling us about what's going on in Jamaica vis-a-vis the rest of the region and the concerns there. Please go ahead.
Yes, no, I was saying that Jamaica is not doing bad. They are
okay.
Significant.
Yes, Mr. Ruiz.
Yes.
Yes, you're inconsistent.
Yes.
We're not hearing you clearly. Yes,
okay.
Go ahead. Try again, please.
Is that working?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, try again.
Is that working?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're hearing you now. Go ahead.
No. Yes. Just to say. Yeah, just to say that the COVID pandemic increased difficulties for many vulnerable people, and the use of digital technologies make also children more vulnerable to online sexual predators. And this use of digital technologies was increased also during the pandemics.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Miss Livermore?
Yes.
Yes. The campaign. What is the nature of the reported campaign against human trafficking in Jamaica?
Okay, so the goal of the campaign was to ensure that we reached the most vulnerable amongst the population. And what we realized during COVID was that the youth became even more vulnerable than before because everything moved online. And globally, we found that their traffickers had begun to find ways to exploit or use our children via the internet. And so with our partners locally, we decided to launch an art competition. So this is how the campaign started. We started with an art competition. The title of the competition was, oh my God, my mind just went blank.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
yes.
Mr.
So it was artwork for freedom. And it
Yes.
was both a visual and a performing art competition. We divided the competition into 5 age group categories and received entries from over 120 youth that fell within the target age. Following the art competition, which was really successful, we posted the entries on social media, and some of them racked up hundreds of likes. We decided to not just stop there, but to use the entries from the competition to launch a campaign via not only social media, but also traditional media. So, what we have done so far is we worked with industry professionals to recreate one of the winning entries that was written and acted by Jamaican youth, and we haven't yet launched that, but we're about to do that. We're at the final stages. The delay has been that we want to make sure that everything that we're doing is in line with child protection principles prior to launching this video, both on social media and traditional media. We have also done a social media campaign using some of the entries, not only winning entries, but some of the entries that had a very huge impact on social media. And we have also developed a activity book. And the purpose of the activity book, it's for targeted at children from 6 to 12 years old. And we decided to go with this activity book because what we found during the competition was that the age groups that we heard the least from were the group from 6 to 12. And so we thought it would be a good idea for us to support their knowledge and learning and then being able to protect themselves by launching this activity book, also utilizing some of the entries from the competition.
Right. So it has been successful so far.
So far, it has been very successful. We've only launched the social media campaign, and now we're talking with persons from the traditional media to try to get some buzz and to ensure that this campaign reaches everyone across the length and breadth of Jamaica, irrespective of where you are or whether or not you are able to connect to the internet. Most of us are able to connect to the radio.
Yeah. Mr. Ruiz, as much as you can, I know that there are methods out there, tricks out there that are used for persons who want to woo people into human trafficking. Could you share some of those with us and also some suggestions?
Well, how people are trailed into human trafficking, there are many diverse ways, and but most of them are based on the vulnerability of different groups, are based on the people struggling because of socio-economic issues, because of and I think if you go to the root, is developing the means for reducing the vulnerability of the people, and then you will reduce also the chances to fall into these kind of traffics. But as I say, despite efforts that are doing by the authorities, but I mean, there is a lot of work to be done also on the socio-economic aspects of the phenomenon. Then there is a second part that it's once the traffic is there, then we have to try to find out how to protect the victims, how to support the survivors, how to prosecute the perpetrators of this heinous crime that it's human trafficking.
Well, what's the track record, though, Mr. Royce, in terms of prosecuting these traffickers? Because we know about the victims, or we know that there are victims out there. What about those who are behind it? What is the success rate across the world, would you say?
Well, I don't know the figures because, as I said, we are not directly implementing the actions. We always rely in partners, mostly in these issues with IOM. I mean, I imagine that it's like in any other illicit traffics, in the sense that these are traffics moving a lot of money, and they can buy many. They can buy people as well. I mean, they can, and luckily, it's not easy to fight and to bring these people to the courts and to get condemnations, but. Because as I say, they move lots, huge money, and this makes things even more difficult. But I don't really know the figures because we are not directly in the implementing phase of the project, as I say.
Right. I don't know if Miss Livermore would like to say anything on that.
Mr. Ray is right. The prosecution level globally is not where we would like it to be. Trafficking in persons is a hidden crime. It's not something that is easily identified. And most of the times, what you find is that victims are so scared, so broken down, so beaten down, that when they are rescued, a lot of them are fearful of the repercussions of testifying against their traffickers or the perpetrators, because this is one of the control mechanisms that was used during the trafficking process. It was threat of harm not only to them but to their loved ones. And so what we find is that, as Mr. Rue mentioned, this is the third highest grossing crime globally, only behind drugs and arms trafficking. And so, as you can imagine, the persons who are involved in this crime, they have a lot of money and a lot of power. And so, despite the fact that this is not something that is easily combated, the government of Jamaica and, of course, our partners, the European Union, is committed to working with IOM and other local partners to ensure that everything that can be done locally to counter this crime, to combat this crime, and to keep not only Jamaicans, but persons living in Jamaica safe from this crime is being done.
Yes, sorry, if I may add just very
Yes,
briefly,
Mr. Royce, go ahead.
this is a transborder and a transnational crime, and this
right.
is why the program that we are talking about is a multi-country program involving different countries in the region, because you cannot limit to a concrete country this kind of activities.
Yes. Well, your closing thoughts then, Mr. Royce, and then Ms. Livermore.
Well, just very briefly, we are very happy to partner with IOM and with the Ministry of National Security and with the government of Jamaica. And I think progress are done, but we still have a lot to be done. And the European Union will always be there to support the fight against this crime.
And Ms. Livermore?
Yes, I would like to close by saying thanks for giving us this space to ensure that we can reach a wider audience in Jamaica. Our work is to ensure that our work in human trafficking is to ensure that we build knowledge, because knowledge is power, and through knowledge, through knowing what to look for, our youth, those who are most vulnerable, are able to protect themselves. I'd also like to end by saying a huge thank you to the European Union for their continued partnership and dedication to the fight against trafficking, as well as the government of Jamaica, who has been doing a lot of work in this area. Thank you.
And just in case, Ms. Livermore, any contact details that you could give for those who, would like to be a part of the campaign or would like to be able to, to stem this practice?
Sure. They can check us out on Instagram and Twitter at IOM Jamaica, or on Facebook also on IOM Jamaica, as well as if people want additional information about the campaign that they're not seeing on social media, they can send us an email to iomkingston@iom.int.
Okay, well said. Thanks to you both for joining us this morning. And on behalf of Love FM, we wish you all the best, that this campaign would be a success and that indeed it would have a positive impact. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much and have a nice day. Thanks.
Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Talk to Jane Bank today to find out about achieving your own sweet home in 30 days. The time by Jane Bank Mortgage is
7:31.
Colgate Triple Action. 3 benefits for a deep clean. As a mother, you always want to give the best to your family and to make them happy. With Colgate Triple Action, you give them 3 reasons to smile: cavity protection, whiter teeth, and fresh breath. A unique formula with a minty flavor they will love. Colgate Triple Action. Find it at your favorite store.
Power in great moments. If you have financial needs, Chris and Charles will fix them for you. Power in great moments since 1992. Oh, we have it all. Power in great moments. Relax, you got Chris and Charles. Oh, we have it all. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Observer, tsunami of diabetes. Data suggests disease will sweep present and future generations. Wow. And then Windies women renew rivalry with England. In the Gleaner, still no code of conduct for legislators, 13 years after pledge. And also we see here that Toussaint mulls boosting kidney transplants as disease nears crisis level. Oh my. And in the Loop News, JLP PNP talk up records on housing ahead of local government polls. And then finally, security guards protest following recent court rulings. Those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. Should children be able to decide their own fate? Why or why not? We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
He knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please Talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
You subscribe to the Love 101 FM's YouTube channel as yet? No money needed. You just need to type in Love 101 FM in your YouTube search, and when you get to our channel, click on the big red subscription button. It's as simple as that. You'll then see a little bell. Click on it. That way, you'll know when we go live. Yup, you will be informed right away. Love 101 FM YouTube channel. All subscriptions are free, so no worries. Do it today and keep connected to love.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Deidre for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. Should children be able to decide their own fate? Why or why not? Deidre.
Nicole says, I always say rights come with responsibilities, and I say no, children are not to decide. They are not mature enough. And that's why the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, not the child to train up himself. Delia says, no children should decide their own fate. They need their parents' guidance. As children, foolishness is in their heart, according to the word of God, so they can't make sound decisions. If we as adults allow them this opportunity, the world will be in total uproar. That's Delia. Carol says the Bible states that foolishness is written in the heart of a child. Therefore, a child is not able to make decisions for themselves. They need guidance. Jackie Douglas, children are children and should not be left to decide their fate. A child can sometimes make irrational decisions for themselves and are sorry later. This is why they are called children and are in need of guidance. Some are really mature, but still. And then Doreen Gale.
Good morning, Mr. D. I believe that we are the channel for the children, with the parents. Until they reach a certain age, then they can make decisions for themselves. As the old saying goes, children live what they learn what they live. And if we don't set example for our children, then those children will forever be lost. Because other people who is not worthy to be called parents, or who is not able to be parents, will influence our children and groom them in the way they want them. So we in the home must do all we can to channel our children in the right and proper way. Sister Gail over here in Charlotte St.
Those are the comments this morning.
Wow, mouthful. Thank you very much. Listeners, before we delve into our second topic, I'm going to ask you to just listen to this short clip.
So Margaret Marcilla is a mother who lives outside Toronto, Canada. She's got a 23-year-old son who suffers from depression and diabetes. Also, he doesn't have a girlfriend. On that basis alone, doctors have just approved her son's assisted suicide. A doctor called Joshua Tepper signed off on it to kill the boy because he's sad and doesn't have a girlfriend. We know this because of the Substack Common Sense. You can read the details, and you should. They're shocking. This is about to become a lot more common in Canada as a way of cutting down on healthcare costs. By March, new law in Canada is expected to allow children to be killed by doctors, by state doctors, without the approval of their parents. This seems like a very big change in Western civilization. Charles Camasey is a professor at Creighton School of Medicine. He's the author of Losing Our Dignity. He joins us tonight. I sure appreciate your coming on to assess this. We've had this conversation multiple times, and each time we do, we reach.
Okay, and of course, that clip is coming courtesy of Fox News. You see, beloved, in countries such as Belgium, the Netherlands, Colombia, Switzerland, New Zealand, Canada, and some American states, euthanasia is reportedly an established legal practice. That is, for adults. But now, apparently, there's a proposal in Canada for this to be extended to children. So in this, the first watch, we are asking, should children's rights be extended to the right to euthanasia if requested? Well, to answer these and other related questions, we have joining us Dr. Doreen Brady West, bioethicist, the Reverend Michael Aiken, Associate Pastor of the Fellowship Tabernacle Church in Kingston, motivational speaker and communication specialist. Good morning to you both.
Good morning to you, my brother.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Lady West.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, giving God thanks for another day.
Yeah, well, we are discussing a very, very important, controversial matter here. I begin with you, Dr. Brady West. For the record, what really is euthanasia, and how is it different from suicide?
Okay, well, euthanasia is a kind of word which initially meant mercy killing. That is to say, it's a kind way of killing because it's killing to relieve suffering. So youth, like the kindness and the euthanasia is kind killing or mercy killing. However, there are two ways in which a patient might seek their death. One is that the patient may ask to be put to death by a doctor. That's euthanasia, plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
And this could be voluntary, where the patient requests it either verbally or in writing, or non-voluntary, where the patient is unable to request it, but their next of kin can say, look, if they were at full competence mentally, they would have wanted this based on what they told me, based on what they said, and so on. That's euthanasia. In America, actually, what is more commonly legal in America is what is called physician-assisted suicide, whereby the patient requests that the doctor writes a prescription for a lethal combination of medicines, and the patient can take this when they feel that they want to take it. So it's a shade of difference between the two, because in euthanasia, plain and simple, the doctor causes the death of the patient, but in physician-assisted suicide, the doctor facilitates the patient to take their own life.
Wow.
Yes,
Reverend Aiken?
Well,
Still with us?
Dr.
Still
West,
with us?
thank you so much for that clarity.
Yeah. Yes, Reverend Aiken?
Yes, sir.
I'm just asking you, what are your concerns in regards to euthanasia in general? Is it a sin?
Well, in general, I do believe it misses the mark as it pertains to human development. And this is a personal issue for me, and here's why. I have sickle cell anemia, and there are times that I have been to the point in my life where the pain is so absolutely devastating that if you walked up to me and gave me a gun, I would take my life. Now, I'm being that personal with you and your listeners because it's important to understand that sometimes as human beings, there are circumstances that disable us from responding as we should to the circumstance because we're incapacitated, whether that's mentally, physically, emotionally, or even sometimes spiritually. So as human beings in charge of governance, we have to be careful what we allow, how we allow, why we allow, and quite often I'm astounded when persons just like you and I, who are now gatekeepers in our various nations, come up with some policies that make you wonder, are they not thinking? You cannot be an Ivy League graduate or some other academic and come up with a policy that doesn't really take into account the full practice of humanity. So in general, and I say all that to tell you, in general, I don't think euthanasia is one of the best policy developments of any nation anywhere, and it should be either avoided or carefully implemented.
Is it a sin, Rev? Reverend Aiken?
Say that again.
Is it a sin?
You know that word sin, the original language means to miss the mark. And I do believe, as I said, it does miss the mark when we look clearly at how humanity should develop. God expects us to, I think my interpretation of scripture is clear. God expects his humanity to develop positively. I think euthanasia is a negative in our human development. I do understand clearly that there may be times that in order to
Tell you what, Rev. Stick a pin right there.
I think
Stick a pin right there, Rev. We're up on a break. We'll be right back.
Sure.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
National serving the people of Jamaica with your favorite foods to help you stay strong. Grab your national bag, original, truly Jamaican. Something for all occasion, good for your breakfast, lunch or snack. Grab your national bag, original, truly Jamaican. Best quality, 70 years strong. National build up the nation.
National Baking Company, baked with pride since '52.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this the second watch, we have been discussing the whole matter of euthanizing minors. As we asked the question, should children have the right? And in so doing, we have online the Reverend Michael Aiken, Associate Pastor of the Fellowship Tabernacle Church in Kingston, and Dr. Brady West, bioethicist. Before the break, Reverend Aiken, please continue.
Yes, sir.
Train of thought. Yes, Reverend Aiken. We're not hearing you.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes,
so
go ahead.
I was saying, yes, I was saying to you, my brother, and your listeners that euthanasia, I don't think represents the best of our human development at all. It should be avoided. Even though I am aware that as Dr. West clarified for us the reasons for that kind of medical policy. But because of my own personal experience, if euthanasia is available in Jamaica, I and others who are of sound mind, but who at times go through incredible pain and difficulty, would be tempted to use it. And therefore, you wouldn't be able to speak to me right now had I ever had access in that regard at any time in my life, battling with this debilitating disease called sickle cell. So I am not a euthanasia fan at all.
Right.
Because I'm aware of the fact that circumstances can allow even a sound mind like you or Dr. West.
Hearing you loud and clear. Dr. Brady West, as a Christian bioethicist, your take on that, is it a sin?
First of all, I want to say that I merely gave definitions in the outset in my initial statement. I merely gave definitions. I in no way expressed any support whatsoever for that practice. I am totally and entirely and unequivocally and unconditionally against it. And I'll give you the reasons why. So I just want to make that clear. I was just giving definitions. I was not expressing any approval for it at all, for either form of the practice. No way. And the second thing I want to say is that what we're looking at now is something called secularized medicine. That's what we're looking at, secularized medicine, which is medicine practiced without any acknowledgement of God. And this is why these practices can come into policy. It is medicine practiced according to the way that seems right unto man. And this is why it is bound to end up in disaster. And, there's a saying that says, if you're going to judge a policy, don't just look at it now. Look at what the inevitable outcomes of it will be down the road, and you will see what your opinion should be of it. And this is true of euthanasia. when the Canadian law was passed in about 2016, some of the restrictions they had were age. You had to be 18. You had to be competent in your mind. You had to have a grievous and irremediable medical condition, and you had to have a short time to live. Okay? Those were the conditions then. But now, as you could predict, secular man who doesn't acknowledge God, man with a worldview that excludes God, will strip away those restrictions one by one. The first restriction that was stripped away was last year, and that was a restriction that said you had to be close to death. You had to be terminally ill. No, that was stripped away. You no longer had to be terminally ill. And this is why this young man who was not terminally ill, but had diabetes and was depressed, left his girlfriend had left him and so on. This is why he could have been euthanized, because that restriction to say you must be terminally ill, natural death is foreseeable, that they took that away. Okay? Now, the next one they're going to take away in March next year, according to the plans I've heard, is the age restriction of being 18. And so the heart of man, the Bible says, is deceitful above all and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Only God can know it. And so this is why we must look at these policies. People put them out there and they seem nice, just like when the devil offered Eve the fruit. They seem nice on the face of it, but down the road is disaster. And that is my take on these matters. So I do in no way support it under any condition. Doctors should care and comfort, not kill. And I do not support that under any circumstances whatsoever.
Well said, my sister.
So if and I'm just asking the questions, right? That may be out there. If someone reaches the point where he or she is depressed, in so much pain, in need of a compassionate response, because the person is saying, the doctor is saying that pretty much, you are dead. You won't be alive 5 years from now, for example.
5 years, well, you don't know if you'll be alive.
If so much, Dr. Brady West. Would that person be sent to hell? Would God say you are going to hell because you have allowed this to happen?
Okay, so that's a question for the Reverend, not me.
You're deflecting it to him. All right.
No, well, I'm just saying he's the authority and theology. I can answer if you like, but he's the authority, so I give way to him because
you go ahead, Reverend.
Well, I tell you something. I would not put myself in the place of God to attempt to determine who belongs to him and who doesn't. So that's not a question that I would answer simply because I'm against euthanasia. So I'm against euthanasia in such a strong way. I wouldn't use that to determine, well, if you utilize the availability of this medical error, then yes, you're going to go to hell. I don't think salvation is as simple as that. It's a much more complex process on one hand. And of course, with a God who understands and loves, I certainly would not want to speak at this time and say, yes, if you use an assisted suicide technique, he's going to send you to hell. No, we wouldn't have that conversation here at all because of the God that I know and the love and compassion that he shows. But I do believe he's going to have to, and he will, or I should put it this way, those who provide the process are going to have to give account to the God who created them. And that's where I think the crux of the matter is. Not so much maybe with the weakened person who avails themselves of this absolutely nonsense medical process.
Therefore, Dr. Brady West, what are the chances or possibilities, perhaps that's a better word, of Jamaica reaching the point where euthanasia becomes legalized for adults, much more for children?
Okay, well, the chances are very good unless, and I will speak to the unless very briefly, but first let me say that you asked about the compassionate response. And there is a compassionate response. I'm not saying that the idea that you either leave people to suffer interminably or kill them, that's a false dichotomy. There is a proper response, and the response is care and comfort, like I said. There's a branch of medicine called palliative care, in which you care for someone, you give them pain relief, you comfort them, because pain and suffering are not synonymous. There's suffering that has nothing to do with pain. And some people are in pain, but they wouldn't say that they are suffering because the pain can be treated. And suffering itself can be mitigated as well. So there is a compassionate response based on the fact that the human being is in the image of God. You care and you comfort. And you can't cure, but you do not kill. So let me just say, make it clear that there is a compassionate response, okay?
Yes,
it is not heartless to say, do not kill, leave them to suffer. Not at all. That is a false dichotomy presented by those who want to promote euthanasia. But to answer your second question, I would say, of course it is possible. Just like anything else is possible, unless the people of God who are in this country be aware of what is happening, aware of the outcomes of secularization on our culture, be aware that laws change culture, so that when you pass a law in 1 year, over time, people who live under that law begin to think it's normal and it's good. And so the church in Jamaica needs to wake up to what is likely, what is possible if we do nothing, and present an alternative of caring and comfort for those who are in need, the demented, the Alzheimer's, the disabled. We need to see God's image in those people and care for them and provide an alternative to this horrible secularized, I say without apology, demonic way of presenting medicine, as those who don't have all the powers, so-called, are lesser breed to be just killed. That's what the Nazis did. We shouldn't allow that to be done. We should present an alternative policy to care and comfort rather than killing. Killing and medicine are not the same thing. We shouldn't have anything to do with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Reverend Aiken, Dr. Brady mentioned about the church a while ago. What would you recommend as a fitting response from the church in light of these developments across segments of the world, and now in particular Canada, with the miners?
Well, my brother, hold that question just for a moment, because I certainly want to dovetail on what Doc just said. Because there is an aspect of humanity that we sometimes forget. There's the natural and the supernatural. And I can testify, and I know there are others listening who can too, that when palliative care and when pain management doesn't work, you can cry out to God and get a response that's not in the natural. There are times that I have been in such absolute pain, and pain management is not working, and there's the only thing I can do is cry out to the God who created me. And I and others can testify that you get a relief that doctors don't know where that came from. Now, of course, we sometimes, even good people among us, run from that side of the human dimension, the supernatural, the spiritual. But for somebody listening this morning, if you are at the end of your rope, there's a God who cares enough to respond supernaturally to what you're going through. Now, as it pertains to what the church should do when society slides like this.
Just 1 minute. You have 1 minute, Reverend Aiken.
First of all, we have to give thanks to people like you, and of course to Dr. West, who constantly stand in the gap to stop or slow the slip down. So, of course, we encourage voices to write about it, speak about it. We need to have pastors preaching about it. Dr. West, you need to be on a platform somewhere too, to open the eyes of people's understanding, to stand against this kind of lack of humanity.
Reverend Aiken, still there?
Yes, I'm there. Yeah, I think I lost you for a moment.
Are you through?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so we need all voices. We need all hands on deck.
Right, we have to
standing against this kind of slide in our human development.
We have to leave it. We have to leave it there. I think that's a fitting note on which to end. We want to thank you both for joining us, and we continue to look and listen out for the developments across the world. And I pray God that as church leaders, we'll be bold enough to speak out and allow others as well to do the same. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a productive and
Thank you. Good morning. Have a good day.
Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-959627. This has been The Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint, giving a shout out to the pastor and members of the Victory Open Bible Church as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Deidre, who needs to tell me the difference between fowl and chicken.
The Morning Watch was brought to you this morning by AIM Financial Corporation. AIM has a loan for any purpose. Visit any of our branches in Mandeville, Kingston, Spanish Town, Portmore, Maypen, Ocherius, and Montego Bay.
Let us live, love, and respect the lives of others.